All right, guys, welcome to week 6. Only 3 more weeks left. Um, Hopefully, we'll have no Eagle Web snafus this week and everything will go smooth. Same thing will apply assignment wise. Article post to the forum by Thursday, case study by Sunday. I'll also post a video this week showing you how to do your final assignment that's due in week 8. I was going to do it last week, but could not get to Eagle Web forever, so I decided just to hold on to it. And this will give you a good 3 weeks to work on that final assignment that's due on week 8. So this week we're going to talk about intellectual property law. Big deal in sports right now. Huge deal. Those of you who followed EA Sports fiasco, NCAA fiasco regarding this. So we're going to kind of go through, hit the high points of it, and I'll post the full PowerPoint and the audio for you. So understand that it's pretty easy to understand tangible stuff. You can fill a jersey, you can fill tickets, you can fill concessions or consume concessions. There's a lot of intangible aspects of sport. A player, a team name, or a logo. A sponsorship of an event, meaning that you're a title sponsorship. Logos on merchandise or names on merchandise. These are all things that you can't really necessarily put your hands on, but they're just as important. So basically what intellectual property means is that it's a right over something either artistic or commercial. Could be music, could be a book, could be an invention, could be a word, a phrase, a design. And basically what this does is it allows, it protects people who create stuff, and it gives them a reason economically to do it. What's the point of developing a logo that everybody is able to use that you don't make any money off of? It doesn't reward you for your work. So, probably 4 things we're going to talk about the most are trademark, copyright, right to publicity, and then a little bit about patents. So what a trademark is this any word, name, or symbol that basically is used to identify something, either an organization or a service. So it's something that's recognizable, that it's part of the brand. There are some laws that govern this. There's a Trademark Act basically that governs the use of trademarks, and it was basically there to protect whoever the owner was, and it's to prevent people from misusing it without permission. So what does the trademark do? Well, identify somebody. Obviously, you can see a Nike logo and know this Nike stuff. You can see an Under Armour logo and know what it is. Okay, it identifies something when there's 2 things like it. Okay, there's tons of people who sell T-shirts, sell shoes. Okay, that Nike logo basically shows that the Nike brand. It could be used to tie something to a certain quality. Probably when you see a Mercedes logo or a Lexus logo, you equate a certain quality with that. And it's used in advertising. It's how people sell their product. Okay, brand their product. So what is unique about a trademark? So it can be arbitrary or a fanciful mark, meaning it's something that's distinct. So everybody, you can't find anybody in the world who will look at a Nike logo and not tell you what that is. It could be something that's suggestive or creative. For example, the trademark Hot Pockets. It could be a descriptive mark, which means that it describes a characteristic or quality of a good or service. This is not protected under a trademark. Also, a generic mark is not protected under a trademark. So, for instance, Jell-O is not protected under a trademark. Jell-O is made to basically that's a type of food. It's not a specific, even though it's a specific company, it's become known as a whole segment of food. It could be a collective mark, which means it marks membership. The NBA, the NFL, MLB, NHL. It could be a service mark. Okay, which means it's used to advertise services that one entity does from another. So, for instance, the NCAA is a service mark, which basically it stands for the events or the services that are related to the National Collegiate Athletic Association. So, in order to own a trademark, you have to be the first to use it in trade. You have to continually and uninterruptedly use it, and you should federally register the mark. It's not required, but you should. It makes it easier in a court of law. So what happens if we infringe on this? So infringement means when somebody is not the owner and they unauthorized use of it, meaning they use a logo that they don't have permission to use. And so what happens when this goes to court is whoever owns a trademark shows that they have used it and that it's hopefully registered. Then they have to demonstrate that the other person who used the mark was trying to cause confusion or deceive consumers. And then basically there's some things that come down to determining, whether it is infringement. It's, how strong is the mark, meaning how strong is the logo or the slogan. Is there a similarity between the two? Is there actual evidence that there was confusion? Okay, and then you have to take into account, well, how sophisticated is the consumer? Could they really tell the difference? Is it honestly confusing them? Some other things, you have to look at the quality of the infringer's product, meaning the person who tried to use the logo, is it a shoddy project? Is there a product? Is there similarity between the ways they're sold? Is there a likelihood that this person who used it's going to try to expand on the use of it? And then is there a sign that there was actually good faith used, meaning that the person who infringed on it had no meaning of harm, maybe not even trying to make money. They actually used it in a good light. They just didn't go about it the right way to properly use the logo. So once this goes to court, that some defenses that happen in this is fair use, meaning that for instance, a logo could be used in a newscast. That's good faith. There's no money trying to be made. Could be an artistic transformative use, meaning that they're trying to use something that's on a completely different product, and they're not really trying to make money on it. It's just a way to maybe highlight somebody's work. It gives example of Andy Warhol's paintings were on Campbell soup cans at one time. There's also this concept of parody, which is basically trying to it's hard to explain it to you guys. I guess I can give it to you probably in a better example. There was a sport case where Major League Baseball sued a parody baseball card maker because they claimed that the players' characters on the cards infringed on the trademarks that were associated, that the association owned in its playing cards. So what happened was there was a company that made like some parody cards of baseball players, kind of like caricatures, and Major League Baseball tried to sue them saying that it infringed on it, which it didn't. And so you can also show that there's an agreement or a license that allowed you to use whatever it is you're using. There's also this concept of dilution, which is you're trying to lessen the capacity or distinguish, basically trying to blur the lines of a famous mark. So, for instance, you modify it, you change its colors, you weaken the way it originally was, or you tarnish it. Maybe you take a great company logo and you put it on a bad product or a shoddy service. That's called dilution. Now, the Olympic marks, they have a whole special level of protection that covers those rings in the word Olympic. So there's no proof. Basically, all you have to say is, all the Olympics have to say is you used it the wrong way. They don't have to prove anything. They have that much power with that. There's a concept of licensing. And this is basically a right is granted to the owner or the licensor to be able to license their product out. So it basically permits somebody to use a logo. This is humongous deal in college athletics. So for instance, Reinhardt's logo is licensed. The Georgia G is licensed. The Tennessee Power T is licensed. The Falcons logo is licensed. And so if somebody wants to use that on a hat, they want to use it on a shirt, they have to get permission to do that. And so all leagues have licensing programs. Some players have their own names and likenesses licensed. The NCAA registers everything. Schools register everything through the Collegiate Licensing Corporation, which is based in Atlanta. And so, you have to get permission to use this kind of stuff. Nicknames. So trademark can be denied on a name that's considered scandalous, deceptive. So it leads to this question of, are Native American nicknames falling into this? The Redskins, the Braves, the Fighting Sioux, the Illini. These are all things that are all Native American related, and it's created kind of an interesting type of deal. The other thing with this nicknames deal and trademarks that has come into light is high schools that have been trying to use college logos. Been multiple ones in the state of Georgia that have been basically told to take their logo down or they would be sued. Then there's this concept of cyber squatting, which is registering a domain name similar to somebody's registered trademark and demanding payment for the trademark holder to buy that name back. So, for instance, when North Georgia College changed their logo and team name several years ago, when they first put that name out, there was a student who went and purchased all the domain names that tied to that, and wanted payment in order for the school to buy those. And so there's a way to go about through this where you can file a basically resolution process to have this disputed. And you go through a process where they essentially deem it as that they're trying to do it for negative reasons. We're not going to spend as much time on copyright, but this is just anything that's on tape, paper, or screen. Okay? And so it's basically when somebody produces something, whether it be music, a movie, a video, whatever, they have a copyright on it, and they can determine who gets rights to that. And so you see it in books, music, plays, lots of things, pictures, architectural works. And it's a good idea if you produce those. And so, again, this is kind of similar to where this protects the person who creates it. So they put in all this work, and it gives them, an economic chance to make money off of it. And so it gives them pretty much all of the stuff they need, the right to produce it, to display it, to perform it. And so this has to be followed or you can be sued. And it kind of goes along with the same trademark infringement. If somebody uses music or material without somebody giving them the copyright too, then you can go to court over it, usually over fines. And the last thing we're going to talk about is right to publicity, and this is the right of any person to control their identity. So this is a relatively new thing, and it's being recognized in states, but not in a federal law. And so it protects athletes, celebrities, people who are famous from basically having their likeness used. Okay, and it keeps people from making a profit on their name or their performance or things about their life. And so this came to a head in sports with the concept of not only fantasy sports, but also of the use of players in EA Sports games. So the first lawsuit happened when they tried to determine whether the use of names and stats in fantasy sports was misappropriation. And basically the appeals court found that the information is protected by the First Amendment, so that takes precedence, which is why it allows them to be able to do it. But in the Ed O'Bannon case, he sued EA Sports over the use of his likeness in EA Sports basketball. And this is why essentially we don't have these games anymore, is because you had players who, the players in the games had the same number, the same race or skin color. They used their names and made millions upon millions of dollars, yet the players got nothing out of it until they sued and won. And then lastly, patent law is just if you invent something, a process, an actual product, you can get a patent, which basically says nobody can reproduce that. Okay, it protects you. You see this in all kinds of sporting equipment, from balls to bats to gloves to certain apparel. Arena football has a patent on its style of football play. And the same thing comes with patent infringement. You know, if you try to use it without permission, you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. And you see this kind of from a business standpoint in ambush marketing. And it's where somebody has paid for the right to sponsor an event, and another business ambushes them during the event. Probably the best example I can think of was the '96 Olympics in Atlanta. Adidas was the official shoe sponsor, and the most prominent track athlete in the games was Michael Johnson. He was a Nike athlete. He wore these bright gold Nike shoes. At the end of the Olympics, they did research and asked people who they thought was the title sponsor from the standpoint of athletic shoes, and everybody thought that it was Nike. So that's an example of ambush marketing. So you see there's a ton in big events like the Super Bowl, the Olympics. All right, so that wraps us up today, guys. I'll post this. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do, and look for a second video that's going to talk about the final project, which is a moot court case. Have a good day.